and welcome back to my channel. I am Julia and this is Julia's Speed Builds, and today we are doing a speed build calling it Tiny Island Living House. And this is because I found a comment on someone else's video maybe yesterday or the day before that suggested that they wanted to see people building tiny houses with just the base game and one specific stuff pack. And I really like that idea. It's got a lot of merit to it because, you know, a lot of times builders on the internet use every single pack that's available to them and just like everything that they can scroll through and choose from to decorate from. But that's not always the best when you're trying to download stuff from like the gallery and play in it yourself. So I thought this would be really fun to just do a tiny house with that features just the things from one pack. So today we're building a tiny house in Sulani. This is the world you get with the Island Living expansion pack, and so I am just building this tiny house with things that are available to me because of the base game and the Island Living build items. So we picked a, I believe, 20 by 15 lot. It's over on the right side, lower right side of the map in Sulani if you want to use this exact one. And we're just building a cute little house on it. It, I believe, ended up being the size of a tier 3 small home in the Tiny Living stuff pack. So actually, technically, I guess, if you were going to put restriction on this challenge, you are technically using the Tiny Living stuff pack to aid you in this challenge. But I didn't use any of the Tiny Living things. So we're just going by the size guidelines in the Tiny Living stuff pack, but we are only using Island Living items. So anyways, we've already got our base down. Most of the tiles that are going towards this size of home are because of the back decks that we've used. That I try to keep it in line with what you see in the rest of Sulani with the houses. All of the houses are kind of like raised and have a lot of outside space to them. So I thought I would do that too, and I knew I would save space indoors if I put the dining room outdoors. So we've got a dining room table on the back deck already. And we are already getting to work on this inside of the house. As you can see, I have put up a couple half walls and pillars inside here. I think this is a great way of kind of dividing space in kind of just a normal plain rectangle like this when you're trying to do a tiny house, because it saves space but also keeps the world a little bit open. I feel like otherwise if you did build actual walls in your tiny house, it might feel a little bit stuffy. So if you're okay with kind of imagining that the Sims who live here are more free-flowing folk, I think it really does work to have half walls in your house of varying heights too. So like you see here, I've got a little bit shorter of a half wall by the bedroom here, but when we do build the bathroom, it is much taller of a wall because of privacy reasons. But yes, if you've seen any of my other videos, I use this method too. I built a tiny house barn, and that's when I kind of figured out that using these pillars and half walls was a really great way to divide this space. So I definitely recommend that video. I'll link it up in the corner for you. But that's not technically the vibe we're going for today, but it still worked in here. It's like a little shack, a little shed that would be in this island town, fit for probably like one sim or maybe like a newlywed couple. I don't see this as like a vacation place really, because it has kind of like your everyday essentials in here and like a good living layout as opposed to like a luxury layout, I would think. So I like to think that maybe a newlywed couple lives in here. But yeah, so we've got this bathroom going on now. We've got a sink. That is the only sink in the house. That helped us keep our kitchen small. So your Sims will be washing plates in that sink. But there's technically no doors in here, so it's all technically the same room. So that wouldn't be a problem for me if I was living here, having to use a sink that's just right across the hallway. We're also using a wallpaper that is in the Island Living pack, and I really love this wallpaper. It just seems really smooth. I really want to touch it for some reason, just like rub my hand on it. It seems like it'd be really glossy. It's one of my favorite ones, so I was really excited to get to use that here. This living space was actually probably one of the most difficult parts of this build. I tried to fit the living space over near the kitchen, but then it was awkward to have a bathroom right when you entered that front door. So we just kind of had to make do. And instead of your typical like couch and like side seat set up in front of a TV. I made sure to get a desk in there. That desk is a lot of the reason too why I feel like this would be someone's home instead of like a vacation home, is because there is that working office space. Maybe a writer lives here. I like to make my Sims write a lot as a career if they've got a little computer and desk space. And I loved this couch too. I had a problem in the beginning because most of the couches that come with Island Living are like 3 tiles long, and that just was not fitting in our space here. But then I found this cute little couch and was able to kind of catty corner it in this corner, and then put a bunch of plants around it, and it ended up being really cute in my opinion. Also, one of the things we did, I did include a TV in there, but I used one of the smaller TVs and sized it up 1 because that still made it a little bit smaller than what a bigger TV would have been, but at its original size it was way too small. We've got kind of like a blue and peach color palette going on in here, which I found like really soothing, because one of the things I was trying to avoid in this build was making it feel too like bogged down. I feel like that's something I see a lot in the EA Island Living builds, is that they use a bunch of dark woods like on the floor and the wall, and so everything kind of just like is muddied together, which is why I use that lighter wallpaper. Because I was trying to avoid that, and I think we successfully did that, but that was another thing that contributed to picking light blue and peach. Thankfully, all the swatches we had that as options, but I thought it looked really nice. One of the things that is a problem with this build, I did play test it in order to do the little walkthrough pictures that are always at the end. My sim won't go through the front door, and I didn't move anything from the front door because you can still go through the back door, so it's not technically a problem, but I do want y'all to know that when you do place it, you might have a problem going through that front door. If that doesn't bother you, fine. If it does, I think it might be the placement of that desk or maybe the plant next to it. I'm just not quite sure. That is one of the hazards of having move objects cheat on. So I decided for myself that it was not a problem because you can use the back door. But if that bothers you, I would definitely recommend maybe scooting some things around in there and doing that. But yeah, we're putting a couple little clutter items in here now. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I don't really like the saucer lights that are in there. I use them in the beginning if a space is just really dark to just kind of get some good light in the entire build. But then at the end, my process is kind of to just go back and delete them when I can. I think I left the one in the living room up there, and that was just an oversight on my part. But I did go and put the Island Living little like dangly lights in there, which are really interesting in my opinion. They're not something I would put in my own home, but I think thematically they're really cool. I also really love the windows that come with Island Living because they don't really have glass in them. They're just like open to the outdoors, which I really like. And I hope you like it too with your Sims, because I know how like sometimes I could freak you out in real life and be like, oh my god, there's no glass, there's no screen, bugs could get in, someone could climb through it. But I think for like an island vibe, it is nice to just have like the breeze coming through. I live in a hotter climate, so I would really appreciate having some windows like this. I actually do live pretty close to the beach, so even those shutters on the side there are pretty known around where I live, so I really enjoyed those. I put some robes up, I put 2 up, thinking that, again, it might be a couple living here, and then some plants. I saw a meme on Reddit the other day about Simmers using so many plants in their builds to decorate, even though in real life no one really has plants in their house. Like, some people do, and I've had a couple in my lifetime, I guess. But I think as Simmers, we definitely like really lean on plants to make a space look authentic. I also found these like room dividers and put them on this half wall just to make it blend a little bit more, give it a little more privacy. Maybe you have the option of pulling the curtains down. and I thought the green went really well with the build. The woods didn't really match, but I decided to look past that. I think we had enough other orangey woods in there to make it feel okay. So we went with that. I'm putting some railings on the stairs. One thing that does bug me in The Sims is that the stairs, I mean, they did just give us L-shaped stairs, so I'm not going to complain too much. But I do wish you could have stairs wrap completely around a floor. But alas, you cannot right now. So I put the little fence things on there. And then also, Island Living comes with the best, like, trees. I don't know how I haven't noticed sooner and how I haven't used them in other builds before, but look at all these beautiful and, like, colorful trees. We are sleeping on these, or at least I am. I was really pumped about these trees and being able to put them in those little, like, spaces between the staircases. I think that ended up becoming, like, one of my little favorite parts of this build is the little trees by the stairs. I fenced it in, and I also put, normally I would put little walk paths with terrain paint with dirt on the grass, but instead I used sand this time, because every beach house I've ever stayed at, in the yard, when you dig, it is sand that is, like, right below the grass. So if I didn't put the sand, I would put the volcanic, like, rock, I think it was. It was, like, darker than dirt. It was like a grayish black. And I used that on some of the things too, thinking that if this is supposed to be like an island in Hawaii, maybe that, I've never been, but maybe that's what you would find should you dig. I know that kind of volcanic soil is really fertile, and so with all these big colorful trees up here, I was like, maybe we should put some volcanic rock underneath this. And I wanted to make this side yard like a cute little hangout, but it just felt like I was trying too hard with all of the stuff I was putting there. With, like, since we already had, like, the dining room in the back, I didn't want to put, like, another picnic table on the side. So I put some chairs down at one point, but I ended up deleting that whole thing and putting a boat there. Never used a boat before. I actually haven't done a playthrough in Sulani yet. I haven't done anything with the mermaids yet, so I thought the boat was really cool. Like, if I lived in a small little house like this, I would definitely be putting my money towards a boat. So I end up deleting these little chairs right here and just, I think it's a sailboat. I also just watched Moana last night. So I was really pumped about wayfinding when I found that boat. Yeah, so I think that side yard now is, like, really cute with a boat and a swing set because there's still, like, activity you can do out there, but then it's also, like, a nice big like, decorative piece to put there. I think your sim can also take that down to the water that you can walk to in when you're playing on this lot. But yeah, it felt kind of weird, the front of the house. There wasn't really a good separation between the deck and the walls, so I end up putting a bunch of little, like, jugs and things by that flower pot, and I thought that was really cool. And maybe, because see, I do look at it through the save window to see if it has curb appeal, so that's why I put down all these pots, thinking that maybe an artist lives here, an artisan, and maybe a potter. I thought that would be really cool as a little backstory for a sim. So yeah, I had a lot of fun building this, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun building other little tiny houses that are pack specific. So let me know if there's one you want me to do sooner than later, one that maybe you know you can play through because you also have that pack. So thank you guys for watching today. I can't wait to do it again, and I will see y'all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment down below. See y'all next time.